Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast about the Audubon Park Garden District in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Michael Lothrop, and today we'll be speaking with Kelly and Scott Seidel of Kelly's Homemade Ice Cream, located at 3114 Corinne Drive. If you can't make it into their shop, you can also visit them at kellyshomemadeicecream.com or on Instagram and Facebook. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to be a sponsor, please feel free to message me on Instagram at HelloAPGDPod. Thank you for listening. Today with me is Kelly and Scott Seidel from Kelly's Homemade Ice Cream. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, you did really well,
Okay.
actually.
People butcher my last name all the time, so I should have asked that first, but I got it right on the first time.
Yeah, you did great.
Excellent. Well, I'm a big fan of what you guys do. I'm sure you hear that a lot. You're
Thank you.
Your ice cream is like a local celebrity. People love talking about your ice cream. There's always a line. It's like, you know, the ice cream culture is a thing. Like, it has a whole vibe to it. And it seems like a really fun job. You're celebrating 7 years in Audubon Park, my understanding?
Yep, on the 17th of this month.
Excellent. And that was National Ice Cream Day was your first day?
Yep, National Ice Cream Day was our first day open.
Yeah, July of 2015, National Ice Cream Day.
That's
We
amazing.
took over the space on July 1st, and then we spent a little bit of time, you know, painting the walls and things like that, and then reopened as Kelly's officially on a National Ice Cream Day.
That's perfect. That's really what a great way to start. And the shop is beautiful. The color scheme, it's basically the vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate colors that combination. It makes you think of ice cream, and it's very lovely. And as is the pink truck, and you do catering, and you're growing really fast. Yeah. So started with. This is your flagship. This is your first location in Audubon Park. So as you were saying, you took over from another ice cream shop. How did that work out? Like, how did that come to be?
Overall, it was great. We looked at the space originally in March of 2015, but we had just gotten our ice cream truck on the road. So we said no at the time, turned it down. They came back to us in June, and a couple other people had, fell through. So they were really looking for someone to take over the spot. It was an older couple.
Okay.
And so we were like, okay, let's think about it. We just had the truck on the road for a couple of months, but knew the location was fantastic. And I'm not sure, Scott, what was our our final okay to go in the space?
Well, we'd loved that spot for a while, because we started, a year before, doing cart events in Baldwin Park. And then when we got the truck, we were occasionally at East End, and Kelly would look across the street and say, like, that's an awesome location, when it was Ice Cream Treats and Eats.
Right.
And she was going through Craigslist one night and saw it up on Craigslist for sale. But yeah, we didn't work out at first, and they came back to us, and it was just like, they were sort of desperate to have someone take it over, because we didn't have a lot of money to start it, the business.
Sure.
And so it worked out well that they were able to just hand over a fully built out ice cream shop, which is no way we would have been able to afford. Mm-hmm. And, he gave us the equipment. He held the note on the equipment for a year, and then we paid him back after our first year. So we really went in there with like very little investment. Just be paid to have the floors finished and the walls painted, and our batch freezer installed. Some little stuff.
Sure. So you scaled up, and as you said, you started just in farmers markets. Do you remember the very first batch of ice cream you ever made?
I think we probably just started with vanilla. Usually start with like your basics and then go from there. It's kind of like when you are learning to bake, right? You just bake chocolate cookies at first, something basic, and then you kind of go from there. We just wanted to make sure we had a really solid base down.
That's a safe bet. Mm-hmm. And I think I read something online about maybe a Christmas gift exchange. Did you buy each other ice cream makers one year?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember who opened their gift first, but it was pretty funny because the other person was like, "Oh my gosh," I got her one that attached to the KitchenAid mixer, that you see, and she got me like the standalone Cuisinart one, and so that was pretty funny.
Well, it was our first Christmas being married, and so we just in September had just gotten every kitchen gadget and present you can imagine under the sun.
It was the only thing left that you did. That's
exactly.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you obviously had an interest in making ice cream, and that seed was planted. I was reading also on your website about when you were in nursing school and you had a part-time job in an ice cream shop. That was local here?
No, that was in New York. I went to nursing school in New York.
Okay.
Graduated high school and college up there. I worked in high school and college at an ice cream shop, and my boss made his own custard, actually. So I saw that process. And going back a few years before that, my aunt and uncle had a dairy farm, so worked on the dairy farm. So I understood where milk came from and all of that.
Wow.
But I've always loved ice cream. Any celebration, I always had ice cream instead of cake.
Yeah.
And it was just a way to celebrate, dance recitals and birthdays. But yeah, Scoop's about 5 years, and that got me through nursing school.
That must have been a very therapeutic job, too, because that's a stressful time going through that kind of schooling, I'm sure. And
yeah.
so that was a good,
good outlet.
Yeah. And you talk about just the smiles and how you never forget that. It's just like that experience of serving somebody an ice cream and just the joy that is there. And you definitely feel that every time you go to your shop or any of your shops, really, that just people are they're so excited to be there. And it's such like a lifestyle thing, and it's just so positive, and we need those kind of things in our lives. It's a real treat.
Thank you.
And you guys do it so well, and yeah, I mean, I just want to compliment you this whole time, but I'm going to ask you some questions too.
Well, thank you. That's good to hear that.
For sure. So you are growing, and you are at 5 Scoop shops and 7 counters. Did I see that correctly online?
That is correct.
Okay.
As of today, yes.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yes,
what was the
thank you.
latest?
The latest one we opened was up in Sawgrass. So it was a counter up in a little bit east of Jacksonville.
Okay.
Ponte Vedra area. So that was the latest counter we opened. And before that was Hunters Creek.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk a little bit about the difference between a scoop shop and a counter.
Yes.
Because it's confusing for people, which is completely understandable.
Sure.
Because we partnered with another local brand out of Winter Park, Foxtail, coffee, which is they're growing very quickly. So our counters are located inside a Foxtail Coffee, and it works really well for the two businesses, just because they're busy times in the morning, ours is in the evening, so it's a good use of the space.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Complements each other.
Yeah. And you can do a lot of cool stuff too. Affogatos now are on the menu, and espresso milkshakes and things like that. There's some cool stuff that we can do. So that's sort of the difference. The scoop shops are our full service shops with all of our flavors and our whole menu, all the sundaes and everything. And the counters have a little bit more limited menu. Usually you can get 24 flavors. A lot of times they won't have our monthly flavors at the same time as we do, which we're working on.
Yeah.
And they don't have the full menu of sundaes and everything, right?
And the takeout, like the pints and quarts, are only at the scoop shops. Is that accurate?
We have pints at the counters. We don't have quarts at the counters. So quarts and sundaes are the only two things we don't have, and toppings at the counters.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard some people say that, if they see a line, they'll just go and grab the to-go and in and out. And
that's when you know they're a regular or a local, from the neighborhood. They just skip the line. They go right for the pint freezer. And yeah.
I love the experience of just being there, and just it's good people watching, and you have benches out front, and you met Misty the corgi. She thinks your sidewalks are delicious, as well as the Pup Pops. Tell me about the Pup Pops. How do you make those?
Yeah, those are peanut butter, pumpkin, and rice milk. We did a cart event back in the day before we had the shop, like a pet event. We were like, we got to bring something for the dog. So that's how that kind of originated from.
So cute.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, the dogs like ice cream too, so.
And the popsicle stick is no longer a popsicle stick. It's now a milk bone. So the whole thing is edible because we had an issue with that one time.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's not smart to give a dog a popsicle stick. So
It's
we
not.
didn't really think about that.
Sure.
So now the whole thing's edible. A veterinarian gave us that idea. So.
Well, and what I found, too, is that once Misty has it, you're not taking any of that away either. So, like, even if it was a stick, she'd be like, no, I'm not finished with this. So that could be a problem.
Yeah. And we had 2 dogs, and we used to give them our vanilla, like especially on their birthdays. Either birthday they'd both get vanilla. So like we felt like we needed to definitely have something for the dogs.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, just obviously an ice cream shop in Florida is brilliant, and as are many ice cream shops in Florida. And we're very fortunate now that we have the school that opened up. For a very long time, that elementary school was just, sitting there and, not being actively used. And now we have this great K-8. So just the families coming through, and, there are always kids in there, and you guys do a really great job with activities. And kids love ice cream, and adults do too. So we find ourselves going there from time to time. The dairy-free options are really, really nice. Tell me a bit about those.
Yeah, so we've always had sorbets. Those are fruit-based. Those are just like water, sugar, and fruit, maybe real fruit. We've always had those, and then we introduced non-dairy flavors. We had a lot of people asking for them. We started with a coconut base a couple of years ago, switched to an oat base recently. The coconut was really hard to mask, so we changed an oat base, and some people can say that they can't tell a difference between the dairy and the non-dairy, but we try to keep them, allergen friendly, and just mix different flavors, kind of have a fruit flavor and then usually a chocolate flavor every month.
That's so nice. Yeah, it's kind of something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the non-dairies I wish we made. Well, not that I wish we made non-dairy versions of them, but sometimes I'll get a non-dairy because the flavor's only a non-dairy.
Yeah,
even though I eat dairy, but.
It's good to mix it up a little bit,
We just don't want to have the same flavors that are non-dairy and dairy. That just gets confusing if somebody orders it and then it gets the wrong thing. I wouldn't want to get anyone sick.
Gotcha. So, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and it kind of encourages people to maybe branch out and try something that is non-dairy, because some people may not realize that that's a good thing for them and that they enjoy that. So it's good to nudge people, into new things.
Yeah.
And, you have such ambitious recipes and new flavors every month. And I love your key lime pie ice cream that you have right now.
It's a big one.
Yeah,
for the summertime.
I bet. So tell me about how you come up with some of your recipes and how that all goes down.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have an amazing production team. Neither Scott or I have a culinary background. I'm a nurse. Scott's an accountant. And, I just say a hobby kind of turned into this dream and passion business.
Sure.
But yeah, I give them ideas. I look at, Pinterest. I like to see what other ice cream shops are doing. A lot of times I take a cookie or cake recipe and or pie and turn it into an ice cream flavor. There's some trial and error that goes involved in that. Mm-hmm. Usually we kind of create a really good base and then we put our mix-ins in. But we have two great a whole great production team, but I usually give them an idea and they'll come back with some ideas and some samples, and we probably every couple of weeks we taste test things and say yay or nay, and it's a lot of fun making new flavors.
That's so cool.
And ideas come from a lot of places, so like customers, or people that that are like, hey, I really want. A couple people have been asking for black licorice. I've been trying to get them to make a black licorice ice cream because I love black licorice.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. I don't think it would actually be all that popular, but some of us would be happy.
I would try it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
So a lot of customers, and then our staff too. I mean, they're great with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, whenever we're traveling, I mean, we'll eat ice cream. If we're in Tampa for a day, we're stopping at 4 ice cream shops, probably.
Yeah, I mean, research, right?
Exactly.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
I don't eat the whole thing, but
it's
I need to taste it.
Good
all.
for you. Have you ever had a flavor that you were trying that you really wanted to work, but like for some reason did not work?
Scott tried to make a Guinness ice cream at the very beginning, and it
Okay.
was pretty terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And it's just, I don't know. I may have just dumped some Guinness into the mix, you know.
Hey, you
and
got to try it,
tried
right?
freezing it, and it was just not good. So,
Oh, no.
Amy's in Austin did a Guinness when we were there traveling. I saw a Guinness, and I didn't try it for some reason. And I was like, why didn't I try that ice cream?
You're
So
like,
then I was like,
no,
I'm
going to make my own.
Yeah.
That's right.
So-
It can't be from somebody else. I
Yeah.
have to just figure this out.
Yeah.
So you're still working on it. That's like,
Well, that's years ago.
Okay.
Maybe someday I'll go back to it. Yeah. So,
I would try that for sure.
that was
Yeah.
when we were making it in our house that I tried that one.
We did make for St. Patrick's Day, we did do a Guinness stout, like chocolate swirl, like throughout one of the flavors.
Okay.
For a limited release.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds nice.
That's like Aaron, who's used to be an executive chef someplace, and that he comes up with that stuff.
Yeah.
I know.
You know,
Yeah.
that's sort of beyond us now.
And that's the thing. It's like you figured out like the basics and beyond, and then you really want to expand it and keep like kind of reinventing and doing new things and getting people excited about it. So you hire the right people that like really know that stuff and care about the product. And
Yeah, absolutely. Quality is really important. Just making sure that there's enough Oreos in every bite of Oreo dough, and making sure that there's, the products in there, and we try to bake as many inclusions as we can.
yeah, I imagine that's got to be hard. I mean, you're not making enormous batches probably. I mean, I've seen the machines on your Instagram, and so that quality control, when you have a smaller production, you do everything in-house there. And I see you have like these sheets of brownies that you're cooking, and like it's just like, and you make your own waffle cones. That stuff just goes such a long way, to the experience of having something that is so cared for and so well made. And I mean, it's amazing to me that there aren't more ice cream companies in Florida, because it is just kind of a no-brainer. I'm just like, we just got voted the sweatiest city in the nation by some like dating website or something, and Orlando Weekly covered the story. So we got that going for us.
Yeah.
But like, we all have to cool down, and what a perfect way to do it, right? Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
mean,
That was part of the reason behind it. I mean, we'd talked about it for years, and we moved down here. We lived in Dr. Phillips originally,
okay.
and we moved down 11 years ago, and it was frozen yogurt places everywhere.
That's right.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
There was like 3 within, I don't know, right down the street from us.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a Twisty Treat, which we love. I
Sure.
love Twisty Treat.
Yeah,
I still
that's
love
true.
that I can go there and get a 32-ounce shake. And it's, So anyway, but, there was not that hard scooped ice cream that was like the place Kelly worked at when she was in high school. And we were actually almost Kelly's Custards. Like,
Okay.
I registered the domain and everything, and we were
Yeah.
thinking about doing custards, but then we switched to ice cream.
Yeah.
Because originally, the ice cream shop she worked at, it was technically a custard shop.
Okay.
So
The difference being custard is like a heavier cream. Is that?
it's got egg
okay.
fat in it as well as the cream. And yeah, it's heavier, and it's like a little bit less well known. And, it's really big in Wisconsin, but it's a little bit less well known, I think.
It's not like when you're hot, it's maybe not what you want.
And that was the
exactly.
other thing. It's like we have enough cream in it. We use a very high fat mix, but
That's
we
the
didn't
good
need
stuff.
the extra egg yolks and fat in it, I didn't think. So.
Yeah, and the startup costs of doing custard, the machine is like 4 times as expensive.
Oh wow.
Versus like a traditional like ice cream batch freezer. So that kind of had an advantage as well.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I noticed. So you're expanding beyond Orlando and Central Florida, as you mentioned, and you have a scoop, or you have a counter in St. Pete. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was our first out of like Central Florida counter was St. Pete. Yeah, that's inside the Foxtail down there.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like a great partnership all around because they're expanding, as are you, and it's like it doesn't take too much space or doing to have that, you know, and part of one of the things that I really liked on your Instagram too was about the scoop training and just like how, you know, you get a consistent scoop and you really train people on that, and it's by weight and they learn to do that muscle memory. So, you know, every time you go, you're not like, oh, I want to get this person because I know they got a heavy hand, you know.
Yeah.
Like at some bars sometimes, you know, that's the bartender you want to go to, or
well, you say that, but then I have a heavy hand. Usually I scoop something. I mean, it's been so long since I've been like constantly scooping.
Sure.
You know, because when we opened, we were working every night. We would close every night. And now we don't scoop. I mean, we've got 2 young kids now. And so we try to be home in the evening, but we don't scoop all that often. But yeah, so when I scoop now, it's heavy. Definitely heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be generous. I mean, that's part of the, you know, you are serving and being a giver, and that's such a nice thing. So do you still do nursing? I know during the pandemic you were doing some, is that right?
Yeah, I worked up until just recently. Just actually this past December was my last shift. So kind of stopped kind of just like on its own. Needed to for a while, but it was hard to give up. But
I believe it.
Yeah, just the right timing happened, and just, you know, got really busy and have 2 little ones, so it was a lot on my plate.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But
she slowly dropped down. Like, you know, when we started, she was working 3 nights a week, and then it was 2, and then it was 1, and then she was taking call, and then it was. But eventually, it's just, especially because she worked nights, so getting called in at 2:00 in the morning.
That's tough.
It's sort of, with little kids and a business, it's tough.
You can't really, I mean, you've definitely got enough on your plate. And it might be something nice to return to later, but that,
it'll always be there, so it won't go away. I worked in healthcare for about 15 years, so.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think everything happens for a reason, so.
It does. That's really true.
Yep.
And Scott, you're still doing accounting?
For the business a little bit, you know.
That comes in handy.
Sit in the finance seat, but no, I left my job. I worked for Cornerstone Hospice, a nonprofit hospice out of Tavares. I was senior accountant there, but I left shortly after opening the shop here. So I retired from accounting in July 2015.
Good for you. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you find a side hustle that you can make a career of, and, you know, scale it up the right way and build your customer base, and you were, you know, before you had the truck, how long were you doing ice cream at farmers markets, like, prior to getting into the truck business?
It was about 9 months.
Okay.
Or so. It got really hard hauling the cart around. I couldn't do it by myself. It was heavy. It was hot in Florida. Just hauling all the setup around. It was a good experience. But the truck was a good stepping stone into the next venture, to see if it would really work or not.
Yeah, everything we did was sort of a slow step because we didn't start with much. I mean, we bought everything we had off Craigslist, used. And the truck we did get a small SBA loan, to get the truck, and which we also found on Craigslist. Kelly found on Craigslist.
That's awesome.
But every time it was like, well, the cart's successful. What would be the next step? Okay, the truck's doing great, and everybody's asking us where they can get this ice cream on a regular basis. Like, where's your shop? So maybe we should try a shop. And then the shop went well, and then the second one, and the rest is history.
And it seems like timing just played such a huge role in it. And, you know, in Audubon Park specifically, you know, we've kind of become the dessert district in a way. And, you were like one of the first anchors of that. It's like we've got P is for Pie, we've got the Salty, we have 2 shops in East End that are desserts, the Dochi, the donuts, and Gideon's, of course, which you do a collaboration with at Disney Springs certain days or certain times of the day.
Yeah, we're part of their hot cookie hour. It's two different hours of the day. I believe it's 3 to 4, and then I think it's 7 to 8.
Okay.
But yeah, we they have our melted vanilla ice cream on top of their warm chocolate chip cookie twice a day.
So they do 2 cookies. They do it like an ice cream sandwich.
It's more like a la mode, so ice cream on top of the cookie.
That's a better idea.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
Their cookies are a commitment.
They are. Yes, they are. They're fantastic, but they are
great for sharing. You know, that sounds wonderful, though.
We like to ship their cookies. Well, are we supposed to say that? He doesn't like when we ship cookies.
No, they're really hard to fit in a box.
He doesn't like when people ship his cookies, I don't think. But
true.
We send them as gifts often.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think, you know, his concern is quality control.
Yeah, of course.
And so if something goes wrong, it's coming from you and not from him.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine he'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do not ship. You are just local, or is that starting to change a little bit?
I really don't have a desire to ship. It's a fortune, and I've tried to ship before, and it's crazy. It was like 4 quarts of ice cream was like almost $300, and that didn't even cost the ice cream. I was like shipping it to my dad, and it was like, and they missed the. They didn't.
It got put on the wrong
there.
plane.
Oh my goodness!
And went to Buffalo instead of Syracuse, I think, is what happened.
Wow!
But he arrived a day late.
Yeah.
And it was all pretty melted. So.
And then there's no they can't take.
There's no recourse, right?
No, you can get like $27 back or whatever it is. So, yeah, it's crazy.
I think there's probably ways to do it. A lot of other bigger companies do it, but you probably need to be at a level that you're shipping a lot to get any sort of, and it's still very expensive, even if you're getting good pricing.
Yeah, and it's about the local experience, right? It's like, you know, you're expanding so people don't have to travel as far. You know, you have one in most of the Main Street neighborhoods in Orlando. Are there other locations that you're looking at? I mean, that you can talk about, or other like on your wish list at this point?
Our wish list is like Dr. Phillips, UCF area, like Nona. Those are probably like the 3 hot spots. Mm-hmm. Lake Mary possibly as well.
Yeah, Sand Lake in Dr. Phillips, Lake Nona. It was big during the pandemic when we were doing home deliveries. They always had a lot of orders down there.
Yeah.
And, UCF, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. And they have a foxtail at UCF, so.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we're working right now. We're working on increasing our production. So we're looking at building a production facility. So that's kind of like our top priority right now. So, but I'm always still looking. We always like to look for second generation spaces that had a restaurant or some sort of food and beverage before. It's a lot less expensive to do it that way versus going from like an empty shell.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure they're out there. It's just a matter of, you know, catching it at the right time and that sort of thing. And you've been clearly very strategic about the places that you are popping up, and you don't want to have too many shops or too many stands or counters rather. Close together.
Correct. Yeah.
We got a lot close together right now around here. I mean, you know, like we have one at the Yard now, which is our shop.
I noticed that. Yeah.
But that's also like a little bit different. Personally, the parking is not great there. Mm-hmm. So if I just wanted to run in quick on my way home or something, I would definitely come here. That's really good shop if you're at the Yard, eating at that, or at the Hall at the Yard, eating dinner, and then you can pop over for some ice cream. So they're somewhat close together, but it's still sort of strategic, like you said, you know.
Yeah, and that makes sense too for, you know, people that live there. You know, that whole setup is for them. So that works out.
Yeah, and Ivanhoe District too. There's a lot of, you know, residential in that area, and it's very walkable. So I think we get a lot of traffic from the locals in the Ivanhoe area.
Yeah, and obviously your shop in Audubon Park, we encourage people to walk both of the plazas, or, you know, the 3 of the plazas, and go to East End. So it is, you know, it makes a lot of sense And we love that you are here just for that very reason. Yeah, absolutely. You are part of this destination neighborhood that we have always strived to be. I've been living here for 21 years now, and seen it change. And it was kind of prior to Baldwin Park opening. I mean, they had started construction, but that was a big change as well. And so we're just at these corners of Winter Park and Baldwin and Orlando. So you're just you started in a great spot, and you're expanding to great spots. And
we like being in this type of neighborhood for sure. I mean, like, if you look at our second shop, it's right in the middle of residential area. There's no other commercial around us on the corner of Fern Creek and Cayley. And it's like we like this more than being down on 50 or something.
Sure.
It's just a little different. It has a different vibe. So.
Yeah, your customers. Like, I love being near a school. It's like when I always look at a shop, I look like, where's the nearest elementary school? It's
smart.
It's good to be part of the community and churches and events. So
yeah. And you guys do a great job of collaborating with other businesses as well. All local small businesses, and also you do a lot of. You won a Good Citizenship Award from the city of Orlando.
Yeah, we did. After Pulse, when we went down and served the hazmat team. After that, but yeah, we're Scott's dad was a firefighter, and then I have a medical background, so we just love just doing anything we can for the community, especially just for emergencies like that. And then we do a lot with kids, children, any kind of children event, or just love giving back. Come from a really small town in upstate New York, and was really involved in my community, and it's just important to give back, and then you'll receive that later on. So
it's really true.
Yeah.
It's really what makes living here special, and what keeps people here. I love to travel and see other places, but this is such a great home base. Like, I always love coming home and we leave our house and we see people, that we know right when we walk out the door, and it's like not many people can have that experience in their neighborhood. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
very special.
Yeah, I almost know anytime I'm at Kern, I almost know somebody in the dining room. So it's good. That's a good feeling to know your customers.
Yeah, you can't. You can't put a value on that, but it's one of those things that just makes life better,
Mm-hmm.
As does ice cream. So that's perfect. Well, I wanted to thank you both. What is the website that people go to find you?
Yeah, kellyshomemadeicecream.com. You can find all of our locations on there, our featured flavors of the month, and catering info, and our story.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, and I wanted to thank you also for sponsoring the Central Florida Corgis section of the Baldwin Park Parade.
Oh,
because we were there for that with the truck, and that was really
that was fun. I remember all the dogs. That was fun. Yeah.
Was it the Christmas parade?
The Christmas parade.
It was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember all the dogs.
Christmas parades.
Just it was like 100 corgis just losing their mind because there were so many people to say hi to. I mean, it was like Misty was just like high-fiving everybody.
They're all dressed up, and it was adorable.
I've never been in a parade until that moment, and she thought it was all for her because, at that moment it was.
Yeah. Fun.
I wanted to thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time. And
thank you very much.
We'll talk to
thanks
you
for
soon.
having us.
Thank you.
Hello APGD, a neighborhood podcast, is brought to you in part by Stardust Video and Coffee, Audubon Park's beloved neighborhood cafe, bakery, bar, and meeting place, located at 1842 East Winter Park Road. We are also sponsored by Red Light Beer Parlor and Brewery. Founded in 2005, Red Light is widely known as the source for world-class imports and microbrews, a wide selection of natural wines, plus award-winning beers brewed in-house. A full kitchen is in the works with an amazing menu by Chef Jess Tantalo, so stay tuned for that. Located at 2810 Corinne Drive, please check out Red Light for all things beer and wine, and soon food. Our theme song is by Christopher Pierce, and special thanks goes to Trey Hester for mixing the episode and for all of his help in making this podcast a reality. We do hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, please click subscribe and leave a review if you'd like. We'll see you next time.